she screamed. "Get that thing away from me." Sofia kicked the overturned stool aside as grains scattered across the dusty floor. Her silk wrapper brushed the dirt, and she froze, staring at it like it had betrayed her. "Why is this house always dirty?" she snapped, turning sharply. "Is nobody here again?" Of course, nobody answered. She stood in the middle of the room, chest rising and falling, anger burning hotter than hunger. Her stomach growled, but she ignored it. Hunger was easier to endure than lifting a finger. Sofia was not built for work. Everyone in Lunara Town knew that. ****. She had been born into comfort, raised in soft rooms, fed by many hands. From childhood, servants tied her hair, washed her feet, and cleaned after her without complaint. Her parents had money, land, and respect, and Sofia had beauty. So much beauty that people stopped noticing what she lacked. "She is too fine to suffer," women said. "She was born for a soft life," men agreed. Sofia believed them. That was why she lay sprawled across her mat most mornings, eyes half closed, admiring her reflection in a small bronze mirror while the town woke to labor. She loved the way people stared. She loved the way doors opened for her without effort. Work, to her, was an insult. But comfort does not last forever. When her parents finally sat her down, their voices were gentle but firm. "Sofia," her father said, pushing a heavy leather pouch toward her, "we cannot always be here." Her mother nodded. "This money is enough for you to start your own life. Learn responsibility. Learn discipline." Sofia smiled sweetly and bowed her head. "You don't have to worry about me," she said. "I will be fine." Inside, she laughed. Responsibility sounded like punishment. The first thing she did was hire help. "Cook for me," she told one woman. "Clean this place daily," she ordered another. "Come every morning and plait my hair," she added. Coins exchanged hands easily. Sofia barely noticed how quickly the pouch grew lighter. Whenever she felt the slightest discomfort, she paid someone to remove it. But money bleeds when laziness drinks from it. One helper stopped coming. Then, another. Soon, only silence remained. That was how Sofia found herself standing alone in a filthy room, angry at dirt instead of herself. She dropped onto her mat with a groan. "This is unbearable." That was when the town crier's bell rang. Gong, gong, gong. Sofia lifted her head slowly. "Hear ye! Hear ye! By decree of Queen Alina of the Silver Kingdom." She sat up. "A royal choosing feast shall be held in 7 days. The queen seeks a bride for Prince Leo. Not a woman of beauty alone, but of character, diligence, and honor." Sofia's eyes widened. A palace. Servants. Silk without effort. Her lips curved into a slow smile. "That," she whispered, "is my escape." Then reality struck. She glanced around her room, the stained walls, the torn wrapper, the empty shelves. "How will I appear like this?" she muttered. Her mind worked quickly, lazily. "I don't need to change," she decided. "I only need money. Enough for clothes. After that, I will never work again." The plan felt perfect. The next morning, she stood before an old milling shed. A broad-shouldered man wiped sweat from his brow. "You're looking for work?" Sofia nodded weakly. "I can help. Just for today." He studied her fine face, hesitated, then shrugged. "Sort these grains. Remove the dirt. 10 baskets." Her hands ached within minutes. "This is madness," she hissed under her breath. She glanced around. No one was watching. She swept dirt beneath the baskets, layered clean grains on top, and wiped her palms together. "All done," she said sweetly. The man checked the surface, nodded, and paid her. Sofia walked away smiling. At the palm oil yard, a woman pointed at heavy barrels. "Filter the oil. Remove the residue." Sofia groaned internally. Instead, she poured clear oil on top and left the thick mess below. Finished, she announced. Paid again. By the third day, she was bold. An elderly woman leaned on her stick. Wash these clothes properly, my daughter. Sofia dipped them in water, shook them twice, and hung them to dry. May the ancestors bless you, the old woman said, handing her coins. Sofia didn't look back. By the seventh day, she stood before a mirror in a borrowed room, wrapped in flowing fabric, beads glittering against her skin. She smiled at herself. See, she whispered. I was always meant for royalty. The palace gates rose high and proud. Music spilled into the air. Laughter echoed. Sofia entered with confidence, chin lifted. Eyes turned. Whispers followed. Prince Leo stood beside his mother, greeting guests. Then a voice rang out. That is her. Sofia stiffened. A man stepped forward. She cheated me. Another followed. She lied to me. The old woman's voice trembled. She took my money and mocked my age. The music stopped. Sofia's breath caught. Queen Alina rose slowly. What is this? She asked calmly. Sofia opened her mouth. No words came. If this story is pulling you in already, don't forget to like the video and subscribe so you don't miss the ending, because what happens next will shock you. Sofia's knees trembled as the crowd's eyes burned into her. Every whisper felt like fire against her skin. The grain miller stepped closer, voice firm. You thought you could fool me, girl, he said, holding up a basket. You left half the dirt in the sacks and only showed me what looked clean. Do you see this? Sofia's lips quivered. You have no shame. The woman at the palm oil yard cried, stepping forward. You poured the residue under the barrels and showed me only the clear oil. I trusted you. Sofia's cheeks burned. She wanted to disappear, to sink through the floor. Her chest felt tight, every breath sharp. And you, little girl? The elderly woman's voice quavered. Clothes meant to be washed properly, soaked only and hung to dry. And you took my coins. Sofia bowed her head, unable to meet their eyes. I am sorry, she whispered. Sorry. Queen Alina's tone cut through the silence. Her eyes, sharp and unwavering, fixed on Sofia. Do you think apologies will undo your dishonesty? Sofia's stomach lurched. I didn't mean to. You didn't mean to? The crowd murmured, gasps rippling across the hall. She didn't mean to. She cheated everyone. She thought she could trick us all. Prince Adrian looked down, disappointment written across his face. Sofia, you've wasted what could have been your chance, he said quietly, but his voice carried across the room. Sofia's hands twisted in her dress. Please, your highness, You were given every chance to show character, diligence and honesty, the queen said, her voice echoing through the hall. Yet you chose shortcuts, deception, and laziness. You are unfit for royalty. Guards, escort her out. The guards moved swiftly. Sofia's heart pounded like a drum as they took her by the arms. The whispers became laughter, low but sharp, and she felt her world collapsing around her. Wait. I can change. Sofia cried, struggling against the firm grip of the guards. I can work. I can, please. But the doors closed behind her, leaving her standing in the courtyard, the palace music fading, the laughter echoing. The sky seemed lower, darker, and the warm silk of her gown now felt like a trap, heavy and suffocating. Sofia sank to the ground, burying her face in her hands. She could not stop the tears. Shame and fear clawed at her chest. For the first time, she felt the weight of her choices. She remembered the coin pouch her father had given her. How easily she had spent it, how quickly she had lied and cheated, thinking the world would bend to her beauty. The thought made her sick. I was a fool, she whispered, voice raw. All this time, I thought I was clever, but I was nothing. An old man passing by in the marketplace recognized her. Sofia, he said gently, Sometimes a fall teaches more than comfort ever could. You have a chance to make it right, but only if you work with honesty, not trickery. Sofia looked up, eyes red and swollen. The first flicker of determination sparked in her heart. I will. I will work. I will not cheat again. That night, she returned to the milling shed. Mr. Cole looked at her with suspicion. You again. I want to work, honestly, Sofia said, voice trembling but firm. No pay. I will do it properly this time. Mr. Cole raised an eyebrow. You're serious? Yes, she said. Every grain. Every basket. I will not hide or lie. He studied her for a long moment, then nodded. Very well. Let's see if you mean it. For the first time, Sofia labored with sweat running down her back and blistered hands. Each basket filled carefully, each grain sorted. Hours passed, but she did not complain. By the end, Mr. Cole nodded, impressed. Not bad, he said. You might learn yet. Sofia smiled faintly, pride mixed with humility. The next day, she visited Mrs. Rivera. I want to help you, she said, carefully filtering every barrel of palm oil without shortcuts. Mrs. Rivera's eyes widened. You mean it? Yes, Sofia said. I will not cheat again. Please, let me make it right. By the time she visited the elderly woman, Sofia scrubbed and washed each piece of clothing properly, rubbing until every stain disappeared. She hung the garments neatly, hands raw, heart heavier than ever. You are learning, the old woman said softly, nodding. Goodness can be grown, but it requires sweat and patience. Weeks passed. Sofia took on more work, saved money carefully, and began learning cooking, cleaning, and managing her affairs. Slowly, her life changed. The soft luxury of her past was gone, but a new pride began to bloom. Pride in effort, in honesty, in earning each reward. One afternoon, she paused to look at herself in the mirror. Not for beauty, but to see the reflection of someone growing stronger. She traced her hands, scarred from labor, and whispered, "This is real." And yet, temptation lurked. Old habits whispered, urging her to take shortcuts. Every time, she remembered the royal feast, the queen's voice, and the laughter of the crowd. She shivered. I will not go back, she said aloud. Not ever. This is my life now. My effort. My honor. If you're captivated by Sofia's journey, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Share your thoughts on what you would do in her place. The story isn't over yet, and the final part will show the full transformation you don't want to miss. Sofia woke before dawn, the first light touching the rooftops of Sarenvale. The air was crisp, the streets quiet, but she was already moving. She carried a basket of vegetables to the market, cleaned the dust from each item carefully, and smiled faintly as buyers praised her effort. The satisfaction was unlike anything she had ever known. Days turned into weeks. Every task she undertook, washing clothes, helping at the palm oil yard, tending to small errands, was done with care and honesty. The villagers began to notice. Whispers that had once mocked her now spoke of her diligence. Sofia, the elderly woman said one morning, handing her a small bundle of coins. You've changed. You honor the trust we place in you. That is true beauty. Sofia's eyes filled with tears. I never understood before, she whispered. I thought beauty and wealth could replace effort. I was wrong. One afternoon, she returned to the milling shed, where Mr. Cole worked. I brought bread I baked myself, she said, placing it on his counter. Please, taste it. I made it properly this time. He examined the loaves carefully, then smiled. Well done, Sofia. You are learning that skill and honesty matter more than shortcuts. Keep at it. It was a small taste of redemption, but it fueled her. Every coin she earned now was hers because of her work, not deceit. Every clean cloth, every polished item, every organized basket became proof of her transformation. Weeks passed, and Sofia's home was no longer empty or dirty. She scrubbed floors, washed dishes, cooked simple meals, and even learned a few recipes from friendly neighbors. Her house, once a mess of neglect, now radiated the quiet pride of someone who had earned her life. One evening, as the sun dipped low, Sofia sat outside her home and reflected. Memories of the royal feast, the queen's voice, and the crowd's laughter surged in her mind. She shivered, remembering the weight of her humiliation. But instead of shame, she felt gratitude. That moment had forced her to see herself, flaws and all. "I would never want to be that girl again," she whispered. "The one who cheated, lied, and expected the world to bend for her. That girl is gone. I am Sofia now, not perfect, but honest, and I will keep learning." Her neighbors began seeking her advice. Children watched as she worked, learning that effort and integrity mattered more than appearances. Even the townspeople who had once mocked her smiled and nodded, inspired by her dedication. Sofia had become not only respected but also a quiet teacher of virtue. One morning, a small crowd gathered near her home. A young woman asked, "Sofia, how did you change? How did you stop yourself from taking the easy way?" Sofia knelt to look at her, gentle but firm. "It began with humility," she said. "I admitted I was wrong, accepted the consequences, and worked honestly. Every task, no matter how small, built me into someone I could respect. If you want change, start today. Don't wait for punishment to teach you what your heart already knows." The girl nodded, eyes shining with understanding. Sofia smiled. She remembered the queen's words, "Character matters more than beauty." That lesson had become her compass. Time passed, and Sofia's life flourished quietly. She never married a prince, nor did she seek a throne. But she had something more enduring: pride in her work, respect from others, and peace with herself. Beauty alone could have opened doors, but honesty and effort had built a life worth living. One afternoon, she stood by the market, looking at her hands calloused from work, and whispered, "These hands tell my story. They remind me that shortcuts never last, but effort does. That is the true wealth I have gained." Her story became a lesson throughout Sarenvale. Parents told their children about the girl who thought beauty could replace labor, and how she transformed through perseverance. And whenever temptation whispered laziness or deceit, Sofia would remember the royal feast, the queen's voice, and the faces of those she had once wronged. She smiled, firm in her resolve. And if you're watching this story now, she might say if she could speak to every listener, "Remember, the path of honesty and effort is never easy, but it is the only path that leads to respect and peace. Don't wait for shame to teach you what you can choose today." Sofia looked to the horizon, the sun warming her back. She had endured shame, humiliation, and self-doubt, but she had emerged stronger, wiser, and truly beautiful in character. If you've been inspired by Sofia's journey, make sure to like the video, leave a comment sharing which part moved you the most, and subscribe so you never miss stories that teach life-changing lessons. The town of Sarenvale never forgot the story of Sofia, the girl who thought shortcuts would carry her, who fell hard, and who rose again stronger than ever. Her legacy was not in gowns or coins, but in the respect she earned through sweat, honesty, and courage. And every time someone asked the villagers about the royal feast, they would smile knowingly and say, "Beauty may open doors, but it is honesty, diligence, and a noble heart that keep them open." Sofia walked through the marketplace one evening, her shoulders straight, her head high. Children waved, adults nodded in respect, and she finally understood that true fulfillment comes from the effort we put into life, not the ease we chase. Her past laziness was gone, replaced by action. Her deceit had been replaced by honesty. Her shallow pride had blossomed into character. And in that quiet strength, she found her peace. The sun dipped below the horizon, painting the streets gold, and Sofia smiled, knowing she had finally earned a life that was hers. Not borrowed, not cheated, but truly built. Thank you for watching Storyverse by Kolawole. Like the video, subscribe, and share your thoughts in the comments if this story inspired you. More powerful stories await. See you in the next one.